This has to be one of the craziest Epstein emails that I've come across so far. It directly implicates Elon Musk's brother and contradicts the narrative he's trying to push. Take a look. The file number is at the top, and as you can tell, it's from 2015. Epstein says, "I gave another girl to Kimball," referring to Kimball Musk, Elon's brother, "and he is thrilled. I told him you prefer dark eyes." This email is public information now, of course, but the government had it in their possession for years. Why did they never arrest anybody in these files? This one needs to be seen as well. It's from 2012, years after Epstein was already a convicted PDF file. It begins with Epstein responding to an email from one of his associates saying, "Elon Musk." The associate responds, "Perfect. Let me know exactly what he wants. We'll organize all." Then Epstein says, "I called, redacted name, left voicemail. See if," another redacted name, "wants to do a massage." This makes it seem very likely that Epstein was scheduling Elon Musk massages years after he was already a convicted PDF file. Not a very good look. He was also apparently giving girls away to his brother. This, of course, completely contradicts the narrative Elon's been telling us, that he always denied Epstein and ignored him every time he reached. The document is one of the most revealing descriptions of how Epstein believed he knew Donald Trump operated financially, even implying that what he does could easily be used for money laundering. He seemed to have detailed knowledge of exactly how Donald Trump did this, saying he doesn't really own very much, he rents out his name. He puts his name on buildings, projects, etc. for a royalty or a piece of the upside. Then he claims the asset is his. He compares it to the Hyatt hotels, where it says Hyatt Hotel on the front, but it's owned by somebody else. Then he says money launderers need a name to purchase trophy properties. Why? Because there is little suspicion if a famous person buys a property that is likely to show up in the press. It can't be Jojo my driver up front, so they approach a wealthy person and tell them for $2 to $5 million for doing nothing at all, just lend us your name. He says, hypothetically, someone approached Trump and said, "Can you buy the Palm Beach house in your name?" Trump then gets a loan from a bank, but it's guaranteed by an entity controlled by R. Basically, this allows R to actually own the property, but Donald Trump to use his name to avoid getting caught. Epstein says, "If you are a gangster, where and how can you invest your money?" The answer, not through the front door. This is very interesting because in 2017, a review found that individuals with Russian passports or addresses bought nearly $100 million of property in Trump-branded luxury towers in southern Florida. Many of these purchases were in all cash or made through anonymous shell companies, similar to what Epstein was mentioning. Additionally, a convicted Russian mobster purchased 5 condos in Trump Tower in 1984 for $6 million. The government seized them, stating they were used to launder money. Another example involved illegal gambling rings linked to a Russian mob boss associate operating from a Trump Tower apartment. This context helps explain why Epstein may have been uniquely dangerous to Trump. If he truly understood how the money moved, where it entered, and who facilitated it, he wasn't just a liability, he was a potential insider.
Epstein sent an email in 2013 to somebody. We don't know who because it's all redacted. But you know what's in that email that's not redacted? New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 9 years old. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said it's not a crime to party with Epstein. Mr. Blanche, it is a crime to engage in pedophilia. We don't know what else is in this email because you, the Trump administration, is protecting pedophiles. They're refusing to investigate as criminal activity evidence like this. That's why Americans are so angry that you are refusing to comply with the Epstein Transparency Act, and we need to hold you accountable the same way we need to hold those engaged in this activity accountable. Let us see the files. Who wanted to know about a 9-year-old?
That Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz-kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And It's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey.
Has been asking us, okay, all of these Epstein files are out. What now? Like, what was the point of all of this? And I think it's time to focus on Ghislaine Maxwell because she is currently trying to get out of her 20-year prison sentence. And this new Epstein file drop implicates Ghislaine more than ever. It's just clear that she was the lifeline of this sex trafficking operation. She recruited girls, she managed Epstein's twisted parties, she even tried to find him girls to impregnate. And now she's locked up in this cushy prison that the Washington Post says is like a country club. There are so many recreational amenities here. There's an athletic field, a library, vocational training programs, access to service dogs. The highest profile inmates here are Elizabeth Holmes and Jennifer Shaw from The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And I would say Ghislaine's crimes are a lot worse than wire fraud. A former warden said that Ghislaine is getting more special treatment than anyone who's currently in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, but still she's finding reasons to complain. I found this email from her lawyers to prison staff in the files. It says issues still remain concerning Miss Maxwell's meals. She still is not receiving items on the menu. Yesterday, she received the same meal for lunch and dinner. Like, you trafficked girls for decades. You can eat the same meal twice. And now we know that she's trying to walk away from all of her crimes hands clean because she filed a petition last month claiming that 25 of Epstein's friends reached secret settlements with the Department of Justice years ago. And what's crazy is that she filed this petition to get her conviction overturned, basically saying if these other co-conspirators are off the hook, why am I still in jail? So I really think we need to focus on her, make sure that she is paying for the crimes that she committed, as well as those co-conspirators. We know that when society really pushes for something, change can happen. These Epstein files were released because of that, even though the government tried to make it all go away. So even though Epstein got away with all of his crimes, we need to make sure that history does not repeat itself with Ghislaine. So spread the word and make sure to follow the News Girls to stay in the loop.
So here's part 2 of every single billionaire mentioned in the latest batch of the Epstein files. First up is Bob Kraft, who owns the Patriots, and new records show when he was arrested in 2019 for soliciting prostitution, Epstein coordinated his legal defense and coached him on how to deal with the PR fallout. Next up, we have Les Wexner, who founded Victoria's Secret and Abercrombie & Fitch, and we've known they were buds for a long time. Epstein was even his money manager. But in the new documents, Epstein hints at many shared secrets between the two of them, including saying, "You and I had gang stuff for over 15 years. Next up, the highly requested Leon Black, who actually lost his finance job a few years ago because of his friendship with Epstein, and there are a bunch of disturbing new allegations against him, including that he forced a young woman to perform oral sex on him while giving him a massage, and that he SA'd another victim multiple times and threatened to ruin her life if she told the police. Then we have Gordon Getty of the Getty family, and the latest documents show he was way closer to Epstein than anyone knew, even calling Epstein energetic, bright, and personable. And when Getty found out Epstein was accused of relations with minors, he replied, "Well, we all have similar kinds of problems." Next up is Sergey Brin, who co-founded Google, and we've known for a while he went to Epstein Island because one of Epstein's victims said she met him there. The new records show he corresponded with Ghislaine Maxwell a lot to set up dinners at Epstein's New York house and sent her an ad for a 1950s aircraft carrier for sale saying, "Thought you and Jeffrey might find it amusing." Finally, we have Mort Zuckerman, the editor-in-chief of US News and World Report, and new contracts show he made a $21 million payment to one of Epstein's companies, and Epstein set him up with a woman asking if a 32-year-old Italian architect was too young, smart, and beautiful, and if he'd prefer more standard fare, to which Zuckerman said, "Sign me up ASAP." You guys, we still have so many more billionaires to go through. It's actually insane how many billionaire friends Epstein had. I have to make a part 3 so that we actually get to all of them, so be sure to follow News Girls for that video as well as so much other Epstein analysis.
Money dirty money?
If you live,
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So, in fact,
why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it,
But you earned it.
I earned it legally.
We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it, advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money. You're a mathematician. We walked into that clinic. where they're giving that money out to these people that are in the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from a, what are you, class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1.
Was tier 1's the highest and worst?
No, I'm
the lowest.
I'm the lowest.
You're
yes.
the lowest. Okay, tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
Yes.
That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children?
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
I think if you
See,
told them,
if
I told them
100%.
the devil
himself.
The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody...
Everybody that was very powerful. So, like, if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right. So the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's any journalist that wrote about it.
That's an astonishing attitude, isn't it? You're the loser because you're not in this. I find that jaw-dropping.
Some news right now. I just found an Epstein file email that I think the world needs to see just to show you how bad, again, the DOJ's redactions are right now. So this is the email. You can see it's a very short email. Here's the thing. It was sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Who sent it? No one knows because the name is redacted. Look at the text, age 10, and then attached to the email is an image. So it appears as though someone sent an image to Jeffrey Epstein of a child that is 10 years old. But we don't know, right? Because we don't know what the image is, and we don't know who is redacted. Now, if this is an image of a child who is 10 years old, the name of the person who sent this to Jeffrey Epstein should not be redacted. And to take it one step further, this person should 100% be investigated. But do we have anything here? No. But ask yourselves, ahead of Pam Bondi's testimony this week in front of the House of Representatives, why this file is redacted like this. It just highlights the incompetence from the DOJ right now. I'll have more updates for you soon. Spread the word. Follow.
In the Epstein files. In 2015, Jeffrey Epstein emailed Peter Attia saying that he's going to have dinner with Musk, Thiel, and Zuckerberg. And then the very next day, he sent this photo to himself of a dinner with Musk and Zuckerberg. Why would these people have dinner with a man who pled guilty to trafficking minors 7 years prior?
Prominent physician in the files, and this time it's Deepak Chopra. This is that physician who turned into a wellness guru who's made like books and videos and like 95 books, and it's made him one of the best known and wealthiest figures in alternative medicine. But also, guess what else he was doing in the meantime? Here's some selected things from the files. In 2016, he writes, "She visited for a weekend a while ago, have invited again in the future, innocent and smart at the same time." Maybe that's not a problem, except he's writing this to someone who was convicted for solicitation involving a minor 8 years before. Come to Israel with us. Relax and have fun with interesting people. If you want to use a fake name, bring your girls. He goes on to say, anything we share is between us. I share nothing with anyone but trust you, which is a totally normal way to end an email if you've been sharing problematic things with each other. Now, in response, Chopra issued a statement condemning abuse and exploitation, saying he had limited contact that wasn't linked to criminal behavior while expressing for poor judgment in tone. My dude, this is not a tone issue. The frequency, content, and context of the interactions make it so troubling that a public figure preaching ethics and spiritual consciousness maintained such a close relationship with a convicted sex offender with crimes against children. Like, what are we doing?
This is who Turning Point USA picked for their halftime show. Young ladies, and yes, those are real lyrics from a real song written and sung by Kid Rock on his 1996 album Early Morning Stoned Pimp. That same song, which was titled Cool Daddy Cool, was then included in this 2001 film Osmosis Jones, which obviously is a children's film, although those lyrics were taken out because it was criticized and considered controversial. Because yes, it was controversial and disgusting, although that song with the actual lyrics, the full song was included in the soundtrack for the movie. But the man that wrote those lyrics and wrote that song is apparently not too controversial for Turning Point USA's All-American Halftime Show, because apparently for Turning Point USA and MAGA, those lyrics are All-American. You literally can't make this shit up.
Me and the devil walking side by side.
Unichrome. That's not true. It's C9H9NO3. This is a chemical compound that is absolutely, this has been around in modern science since the 1930s. You can actually, there's a synthetic form and there's a regular, natural form, which is caused by torturing little kids to get their adrenaline up, essentially, and then extracting it from them. When you sit and meet, and so I brought this up a few years ago, and all of a sudden I was attacked by every media. Look it up. It's there. They absolutely went after me. And the next day, I never heard from my agency for 14 months. My lawyers let me go. My agency never called me after that, and essentially I was done.
Last year, parents abducted. A number of things that bother me about the Epstein file, but I want to talk about the ones that have to do with Peter Attia. So for Peter Attia to say to Epstein that blah, blah, blah is low carbs, for Peter Attia to say that he has to keep it secret, that he knows about Epstein's outrageous lifestyle, is in itself extremely outrageous. As a doctor, we have an obligation to take care of the vulnerable and to give those vulnerable people a voice. We are their voice when they don't have one. It's my view that Peter Attia knew what Epstein was doing, and to stay silent and to continue to be friends with somebody like that is absolutely unacceptable. No one who is aware of somebody who is abusing anyone should stay silent. As a physician, I am upset because he has let the entire medical community down. He is a pillar until today in the longevity space. I looked up to his content and his insight around longevity, his work with companies and organizations, and all that's gone. He stopped protecting the people that need protection. That is his first and foremost responsibility. I don't know how having a friend like Epstein helps you have longevity. As of today, I'm not going to read anything more from what you write. I can't override what you...
Asking the Prime Minister something very specific, not about the generalities of the full extent. Can the Prime Minister tell us, did the official security vetting he received mention Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein?
So clear. Prime Minister.
Yes, it did. As a result, various questions were put to him. I intend to disclose to this House all of the national security, prejudice to international relations on one side. I want to make sure this House sees the full documentation, so it will see for itself the extent to which time and time again Mandelson completely misrepresented the extent of his relationship with Epstein and lied throughout the process, including in response to the due diligence.
I mean, I'm afraid the Prime Minister wasn't being straight with people. He knew, before he appointed Peter Mandelson to be the British ambassador in Washington, he knew that he'd been hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of being a paedophile and a child sex trafficker. And he'd been staying in his residence in Paris whilst he was in prison. That was, the Prime Minister admitted yesterday under forensic questioning from Kemi Badenoch that was in the vetting report that he saw before he made the appointment. So it's all very well pretending this is all new news and he was let down, but he knew this before he appointed him. I may be old-fashioned about this, but I think if you hang out with a paedophile, you're not fit to be the British ambassador in Washington or indeed hold a position in public life. And the second thing is, when he says he believed Peter Mandelson, well, Peter Mandelson is somebody who's had to resign from public life twice before for not being straightforward and being dishonest with people over money and hanging out with dodgy people. So it does seem to me that perhaps you shouldn't believe everything somebody like that tells you. So I'm afraid it does go to the Prime Minister's judgment about appointing him in the first place, and he has some very serious questions to ask.
Some major news this evening. An Epstein file I just found completely vindicates Virginia Roberts Giuffre, one of the more prominent Epstein survivors, completely undermining a claim made by Andrew, formerly known as Prince Andrew, and Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think everyone needs to know about this because the truth is finally coming out. Remember this image of Andrew, Virginia, and Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, for years, everyone denied that this image was real. Andrew denied ever even meeting Virginia. He told the BBC in 2019 that the night this picture was taken, he was at a pizza restaurant. He wasn't ever with her. Well, now there is a draft correspondence from January 10th, 2015 from Ghislaine Maxwell. It's unclear to who she's sending it to, but it's a draft statement in response to what appears to be Virginia's allegations against her, Andrew, and more. And I want to zoom in on this part of the statement. Read it with me. In 2001, I was in London when blank, referring to Virginia Roberts Giuffre, met a number of friends of mine, including Prince Andrew. A photograph was taken as I imagined she wanted to show it to friends and family. This not only admits that she did meet Andrew that night, but in fact, the photograph is real. In that same draft statement, Maxwell admits that Epstein abused minors. I can't overstate how big of a development this is, especially for Virginia's family. Virginia is tragically no longer with us, but the truth is coming out. And the truth is that Andrew and Maxwell lied. Virginia was telling the truth. Despite years of folks trying to undermine her story, she was telling the truth. And everyone needs to know that tonight. Spread the word.
The emperor went to Epstein Island and ate people. And you know they do that. You know they eat babies. That is not bullshit. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood. They do, Tucker. Stop staring at me like that.
You're freaking me out, man. Because you spent your life in the entertainment business, so I think you have some authority on this.
There is a strong desire to freeze the current unfair state of things in international affairs. For centuries, they've been stuffing their stomachs with human flesh and they've been stuffing their pockets with money, but they must realize that this ball of vampires is about to end.
So many kids that I was in mental institutions with over the years, they are all from those cults, and they've covered it all.
We're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
and I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles.
Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, you know, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life. And I hope there's some justice for those now women, right? We see them standing up in front of microphones in D.C. What they went through is just unimaginable.
How are you watching the Epstein topic unfold around the world? Well, for me, the one thing that I noticed is the eerie silence about the fact that it is all a heinous Israeli government coup against the West. As we all know, it is an Israeli operation to take over Western governments by entrapping their leaders in depraved sexual acts, catching those sexual acts on video, and then blackmailing the leaders to do anything that Israel demands of them, or else the images would be made public. However, many who are discussing the topic fail to make the connection that today, even after Epstein's death, people are losing their freedoms and their rights in Europe and America today because of him. The increasing Israeli control of Western governments that we are all seeing today, it's Epstein's work. All the genocide denial by the government of Europe and America, the denial of starvation and the refusal to do anything to stop the genocide, in fact even sending even more bombs to exterminate the Palestinian people, arresting and deporting peaceful protesters in their own cities. All of this weird behavior is the direct product of Epstein's operation. Western leaders are supporting Israel under duress just so that their sex tapes are not made public. Netanyahu is probably watching to see what effect the release of the Epstein files is having on Israel's control over America and Europe. Clearly, he is not in any trouble so far because not only the names of the abusers are still redacted, but also everyone is focusing on everything else but Israel, the country that is the mastermind behind this actual Israeli coup d'etat conducted by one man on an Israeli mission. That's Jeffrey Epstein. If any other country had conducted such an operation against America, you would hear national security alarms everywhere. Diplomatic ties would be cut with that nation, and there would be war plans made and counterintelligence operations being conducted right now for the country, for America, to regain full sovereignty of its government, its institutions, and its democracy. The lukewarm concern shows how much America's national security apparatus has collapsed under Epstein's operation. To all those Americans complaining about a foreign country controlling America, that is exactly what Epstein was doing. Israel's complete takeover of America. Only one country in the world, namely Israel, uses pedophilia and cannibalism of children as a weapon to control foreign countries. American people, you are under attack by Israel. Israel wants your country, and Israel is getting away with conducting a coup against your country and installing an Israeli dictatorship against you, the American people. The only remaining simple solution at your direct disposal, and I will repeat this as many times as it takes, is the people of America kicking out of public office all these politicians whom you found bowing their heads to Israel. All these people being given free trips to Israel. That is a continuation of Israel's takeover of your country. It is the exponential increase of Israeli control over your lives. They already control your economy, your military-industrial complex, your Congress, your White House, even your conscience, through lies, fake victimhood, false flag operations, corruption with your politicians, and general deceit. The Epstein operation shows exactly which side of good or evil they are actually on. Cannibalism and sexual deviance on children cannot be the work of angels. It is the lifestyle of the beasts, monsters, and savages known today as Israel. Elections and nationwide public protests are the people's last line of defense to save yourselves and your country from the increasing Israeli lies, deceit, malice, fraud, traps, evil, and the rising Israeli tyranny and capture of your countries. I get nothing from anyone for saying this. I do it out of my own belief that you deserve better than a devious Israeli dictatorship cabal that is secretly siphoning all your tax dollars, your freedoms, your rights, and your jobs, and trampling over your democracy and your sovereignty in your own country. Just a month ago, I said in a public video that I suspect that Israel had the nudes and sex tapes of UAE leaders, and Israel is using these videos to blackmail them into doing whatever Israel wants, including getting involved in civil wars and terrorism in Africa. Today, I saw in the latest Epstein file a photo of one of UAE's leaders on the Epstein Island with two white girls in bikinis in his arms kissing him. That confirmed my previous suspicion that Israel has blackmailed the UAE with their nudes and sex tapes to do things for Israel, because that is what the Epstein Island was for. Get people there to have some holiday fun, young girls available on site, secretly record the guest doing unholy things, then blackmail the guest with those videos to do anything you want. I now also suspect that the FBI has also been co-opted into Israel's coup as an accomplice against America's democracy. And the FBI could now be trying to use the Epstein material it found to also secretly blackmail the same leaders and individuals in those videos to do whatever they demand of them. I am saying this because Jeffrey Epstein was already found guilty of sex trafficking for Israel's blackmail operation. Epstein's girlfriend was also already found guilty and jailed for the same child sex trafficking in the same Israeli blackmail operation. And the FBI has the Israeli blackmail sex videos where politicians are sexually abusing the children given to them by Epstein, who filmed the abuse for Israel's blackmail operation. Everybody who visited Epstein's island was filmed, including the Gulf leaders. But how come none of these international politicians, especially the American ones, are in jail for child sexual abuse? Yet the traffickers have already been found guilty of providing the victims to the politicians who abuse the children. Is Mr. Kash Patel also trying to use the same sex videos for his own FBI blackmail operation against the same global politicians, even at Trump's behest? Why else would you redact the names of all of the abusers but mention the victims? The rotten FBI wants to blackmail these same global elites as well, using the same Epstein videos where these politicians are sexually abusing toddlers. How is anyone sure that Trump and Patel are not in a blackmail operation? And that is not happening already using the videos collected from Epstein's island? We call it Epstein Island, but he was just an intelligence asset on duty. In reality, it should be called the Greater Israel Island, the Abyss. Actually bought by US taxpayers' money, probably money sent as foreign aid to Israel. The same source of funds for all the mysterious new Israeli billionaires with no actual business where they made their money from. Meanwhile, the only way out now for the politicians in the Epstein sex tapes is to sue the FBI and Department of Justice for millions of dollars if anyone tries to blackmail them again with the same videos taken by Epstein. But the best thing that the American people could do for the victims is to kick all pro-Israel politicians out of office. Remember that this was an Israeli Ministry of Defense operation, so my appeal also goes to the people of UK, France, Germany, the whole of Europe, and even Australia. Kick out all these unrepentant pro-Israel pedophiles from public office. No wonder they felt no compassion at toddlers starving and being obliterated in Gaza. They are heartless monsters who have already eaten children alive in macabre Epstein rituals. It's in the files. Do you see any of them coming clean to the American, British, French, or European Union people about their evil deeds? No. They are hiding and they will only respond publicly if their names are exposed. So you can't trust them to do what is right. You can't even trust them to serve you, their people, first, and not to serve Israel first. Therefore, all these pro-Israel politicians have to go, even just for their victims' sake, the defenseless innocent children who had nobody to save them from what these beasts were doing to them on Epstein Island. Some children were reportedly slaughtered alive, and as I said, even eaten by these cannibals in satanic rituals. Other children have kept silent the disturbing stories of what happened to them and what they saw happening to other children, horrors so unfathomable that no sane human being could stomach. All locked in these children's hearts to this day, toddlers who never experienced what normal life is supposed to be like for children. And today, they live halfway between remembering that heinous childhood and surviving the undiagnosed ramifications of those abominable horrors one day at a time, every single day. Thank you.
Prosecutors are searching X's offices in a probe into possible child abuse images and deepfakes. The preliminary investigation is looking into a range of alleged offenses by the social media platform, including spreading child sex abuse images. In a message posted on X, Paris prosecutor's office announced the ongoing searches at X's French offices, saying the goal is to ensure X complies with French law. The prosecutor's office also says it's leaving the platform and calling on its followers to join it on other social media. Let's bring in foreign correspondent Tom Soufi-Burridge for more on that. So, Tom, what's the latest on this investigation and where does it go from here?
Yeah, so the cybercrime unit of the Paris prosecutor's office, Diane, this morning conducted a search of the offices of X in Paris as part of an ongoing investigation into the social media platform owned by Elon Musk. And in conjunction with that, it also announced that it was summoning Elon Musk and the chief executive of X, Linda Yaccarino, to voluntary hearings as part of this investigation in April. The Paris prosecutor's office saying that this investigation is being done in a constructive manner to ensure that X complies with French law.
The news has come out that Clarence Thomas, I'm just going to say allegedly, raped a 4-year-old child. He needs to be impeached and removed from office, from the Supreme Court, I should say. Also, he was mentioned by Sasha Riley, the victim of, trafficking, that he was one of the only black men that was at Epstein Island and participated in SA of children. It says here, I am a target of DT. In 2014, an agent tricked me into going to Epstein's in Palm Beach. And he said if I was going to a holiday party. I got there with him, was handed a drink, and I was rugged once again. He took me to a room and said, wait here, I'll be right back. And immediately the door was shut and locked by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeff Epstein. Every time I tried to get out, they would back me into the room, and it was Ghislaine Maxwell who was really doing this. I was locked in a room At one point, the butler unlocked the door, and standing there was DT. I wasn't his cup of tea. He said to a man, make sure she drinks some of that so she forgets I was here. Then said to the butler, only open the door that you think I will like. Down here it says, in 1998, Robert A. Murray, my boss at Bank of Boston, said there were psychopaths in the CIA and FBI playing a game. He said DT was involved and was in this ring. He mentioned Justice Clarence Thomas, who I didn't know. He also told me I was sold to the CIA by the man who pretended to be my father, the man that raped me repeatedly and trafficked me. I didn't believe it, but I do now. And then here it says in 2014, I was abducted, and that's when it mentions that she was 4 years old when Justice Clarence Thomas raped her at a church in Massachusetts. Yeah, this is too accurate and too many details to be alleged information. He needs to immediately be...
I was Epstein's lawyer. I tried desperately to get him a good deal when he was first arrested. I went to the prosecution with everything we had. I asked Epstein over and over again, what can you tell me? Did you work for the government? Did you do anything for the government? If he had done anything for the government, first person he would have told would be me, and I would have gone to the government and say, well, you can't prosecute this guy. You have to let him off the hook. He's worked for the government. There isn't one iota of proof or truth to the claim that he worked for the Israeli government. Jeffrey Epstein visited me in Israel when I was there as a visiting scholar. It was the first time he had ever been to Israel. He asked me to put together a group of smart people to have lunch. I included Aaron Barak, Yitzhak Zamir, a few people. He didn't know anybody in Israel. He has never had any connections with Israeli intelligence. And Tucker Carlson just made it up completely out of whole cloth. There's nothing to it whatsoever.
And what you said has been corroborated by Naftali Bennett, the former Prime Minister, who said today... Well, corroborated in the sense of this defence has been corroborated. He said that Epstein had nothing to do with the Mossad ever, and never in his knowledge ever did any work for the Israeli government. Now, this is still being investigated. We shall see. But no one's, as Alan rightly says, no one's established this yet as a fact. To the contrary. Alan, before I go to Mehdi for a final response to this, you've been quite vocal since the Trump administration shut down the Epstein case. You've been quite vocal that you know specific names of people that, in your estimation, should be prosecuted. So my question for you is, why don't you just put them out in the public domain?
I can't, because I'm under court order. The courts, two courts in federal courts in New York, have imposed gag orders on this. I don't know anybody who necessarily should be prosecuted. I know the names of people who were allegedly clients or allegedly had sex, and those names are being suppressed because
how many names are we talking about?
And got probably just a handful, maybe even fewer. But we know that there are some, and we know that some of the names that are being suppressed not only are names of people who are accused, but also information about the accusers, because some of the accusations are clearly false accusations. And so what I've said from day one is we want every single thing disclosed, nothing redacted, everything open, so that the public can judge the validity of the accusations, the name of the accusers, the names of the accused, and put it all forward so that the court of public opinion has all the information. There is no such thing as a client list. There is a redacted FBI form that has the names of several people, and they have been redacted, and they should be unredacted.
But that sounds very similar to a client list to me.
No, it's an accusation. No, it's not a list. A list would be something that Epstein put together. This is a list of people who were accused by somebody or by others of having improper conduct, and those names have been suppressed. That's not a list. That's a list of accusations. They may all be false as far as we know.
Okay.
And if you're going to turn out the names of the people accused, you also ought to provide all the information about the accusers.
And in
so
all your
that
time, Madam,
everybody
before I go
can
to Mehdi for the
evaluate
final
them.
word on this, in all your time around Epstein and this case and all your knowledge, has there been anything to link President Trump, Donald Trump, to anything that in your eyes ought to be further investigated?
Absolutely not. They knew each other. They were part of the Palm Beach Circle. They were at each other's homes. And then apparently Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. But there's never been an allegation that Trump did anything wrong. And I've never seen any evidence to suggest that, period. The same thing is true of Bill Clinton. There were all kinds of allegations that he was on the plane, that he was on the island. That has never been proved. It's easy to make these accusations.
No recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
So you're absolutely sure that you were at home on the 10th of March?
Yeah.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat. Or I didn't sweat at the time.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
Yes.
You've seen the photo.
I've seen the photograph.
How do you explain that?
I can't. Because I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken.
Do you recognise yourself in the photo?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult not to recognise yourself.
Your friend suggested that the photo is fake.
I think it's, from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph.
Trump assaulted you, so sexual assault and physical assault?
Yes.
And
at one point, I kind of acquiesced to whatever sexual things that he wanted to do, but at some point he wanted me to have sex with him, so he laid down on his stomach, and there was a wooden tent stake that was in the room, and I had been eyeballing it as a weapon, and what I did was put the condom on the wooden tent stake, put it inside of him, and I kicked it as hard as I could, and that's why he had to get life flighted out, because I ripped him open.
Simply put, I stand by my court documents.
Child molester.
Child molester. Child molester.
Child molester. Child molester.
Child molester.
Up this morning and found that last night Donald Trump had threatened to sue me again. I think this is the third or possibly fourth time the President of the United States has threatened to sue me. Apparently, he was asked about his reaction to the 3 million pages of Epstein files that had been released. And his response was that, well, he was going to sue Wolf, a writer, because I had conspired with Epstein to frame him, I think was his point. And yes, I tried to encourage Jeffrey Epstein in any way I knew how to come forward with what he knew about Donald Trump. And actually, Epstein had started to do that. In my book, Siege, Epstein talks about his breakup with Donald Trump over a piece of real estate in Palm Beach. Now, 3 weeks after that book was published, Epstein was arrested by Donald Trump's Justice Department. As you may also know, Melania Trump threatened to sue me because I said she was part of Epstein's social circle, which we can see in these latest emails that have been released. But the effect of her threatening to sue me was that I turned around and sued her for trying to intimidate me. This lawsuit gives me the power to subpoena Mrs. Trump, Mr. Trump, and all their friends to talk about the Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And by the by, I raised $800,000 in a GoFundMe campaign to fund this lawsuit. So bring it on. I believe that if the American public knew the real nature of Donald Trump's long relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, they would turn away in horror and revulsion. So sue me. Let's sue each other. I have nothing to hide, but Mr. President, you surely do.
I'm for any, I don't, they can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax.
Black girls allowed on Epstein Island? Here's why. Jeff gave in at some point and told him, yes, I'll find some friends. Jeff wanted young, fresh girls, virgins. He told, don't bring me any N-words. Never ever brought any friends. At this point in the interview, Attorney Barry advised the following. At Epstein's request, she at times met people on the beach and may have told them something to the effect of, if you want to party, go to Epstein's. Following statement. Shook her shoulders and head in the affirmative. Clarified that after what Jeff had done to her, she did not want it. The grapes and actual assaults to be repeated. And she decided finding other girls for him, strangers she found in town, might spare her more abuse.
By the time I was 16, I brought him up to 75 girls, all the ages of, 14, 15, 16, people going from 8th grade to 9th grade at just school parties is where I would recruit him from.
All Jeffrey cared about was go find me more girls. His appetite was insatiable. He couldn't stop. He wanted new, fresh, young faces every single day.
The sheer volume of girls, the frequency, sometimes several or many in the same day, the age of the girls. In some cases, there were victims that didn't know each other, had never met each other, but they had basically the same story.
I remember there was a staircase, and it was kind of like a spiral almost.
And she brings us up the stairs, and it was like spiral stairs.
You walked into his bedroom, around his bed, to almost like a very little hall, and then it was another door. And that's where everything would happen, was in his bathroom. He would have a dresser, and it was filled with the first drawer was lotion, and then the third drawer down was sex.
Before you know it, I'm being lent out to politicians and to academics and to people that royalty and people that you would never think, how did you get into that position of power in the first place if you're this disgusting, evil, decrepit person on the inside?
You've been convicted of a crime. Yes. What was the crime of which you were convicted?
Two counts. One, soliciting prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution.
you in fact commit those acts?
I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
How many times have you solicited a minor for prostitution?
Same answer.
How many times have you solicited a minor for prostitution in the state of Florida?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited a minor for prostitution in the Virgin Islands?
Same answer.
That is, you are invoking your Fifth Amendment.
Yes,
right?
Yes, Mr. Squirrel.
Have you ever solicited for prostitution in New York?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited for prostitution in New Mexico?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited for prostitution in Paris?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited a minor for prostitution anywhere at any time?
Again, I'm going to assert my right.
Let's take another break. We're going to go through everything. So you are terminating the deposition at this time? You're recessing the deposition.
It's become very famous in this video. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
And now you said before, a couple of minutes ago, that this was just locker room talk.
It's locker room talk.
And so does that mean that you didn't really mean it?
No, it's locker room talk. I don't know. It's just the way people talk.
Donald Trump.
I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
13. Yeah. How did the initial meeting, how did that work?
The first time that I met Donald Trump was...
Seriously. We need absolute quiet.
And the first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then I began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, "You need to use a glove." And the recruiter ran over and handed me a glove and said, "No one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove." So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party.
And the person having the party, who is this person?
It was Mr. Jeffrey Epstein was having the party.
And for those who don't know, who is Jeffrey Epstein?
Jeffrey Epstein is Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties.
And when you say your recruiter, what does that mean?
There was, I originally came to New York trying to be a model, and in my travels, I met a girl named Tiffany there who was very interested in me and said that, that's what she did, is that she helped girls, get what they wanted, and she could help me get into modeling, that she knew a lot of people that were dance and meet some people. There would be no sweat. So, of course I went. You know, that sounded like no big deal. And she was recruiting the girls to come to these parties. And they all looked, I mean, most of them were, you know, my age. There was, you know, maybe a couple of girls that were maybe 14 or 15, but it seemed to me like we were all very young, so. Jeffrey Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. When he interviewed me, he asked me to get down to my bra, just my panties, and I thought that was weird, but I mean, modeling, maybe it was something about my figure. And he asked that I give him a massage. And then he asked me my age. He asked me, and I told him, you know, I told him that I was 13. I told him why I was there. And he basically said, well, you'll do, you know, I'm sure that you'll fit pretty nicely here. And then he tried to basically slip himself inside of me. And I pushed him away, and I said, you know, because at that point in time, I still believed that there was models, and then there was the girls that did that. Like, I thought there was a separation. So, yeah, I told him that I wasn't interested in that, but he said that I would do. And as far as Donald Trump, he knew that I was 13, and I believe that Tiffany told him. He seemed to take a liking to me because I was so young, and I was also a virgin, so I don't know. It seemed like he wasn't really into having girls that were liked by the other guys. He kind of, you know, the whole glove, he kind of liked things to be his first, you know, that, for lack of, you know, a better term, but he was the one who wanted to get to a girl before everyone else did. Donald Trump knew that I was 13 because the first night that I was there, Tiffany actually suggested that, you know, she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. You know, I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair, and so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that she said that looked great on me, so I wore that wig, and Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter, and she said, well, she's 13 as well. So he knew the first time that he saw me, but he took a liking to me because I look like his daughter. The reason I'm coming out now is when it happened originally, I just wanted to forget about the whole incident. And when I saw that he was running for president, I felt it was my responsibility to come out and tell our country what kind of man this person is. I don't think that he should even be.
How often did Trump assault you?
I can remember two specifically. A third one that I think, and I think I was around him more than just those 3 times, but only 3 times do I kind of remember. I can remember at one point him asking the people that were kind of running that party or whatever it was at that farm, he wanted to kill somebody. He wanted to murder somebody. And they said, hey, that's not this kind of party. You can't do that. And in lieu of doing that, they said, well, we've got some puppies. If you just want to kill something, we've got to get rid of them anyway. So I can remember him taking those puppies one by one, and like he snapped one of the puppies' necks. He cut one open and let it just howl and you know, writhe in pain while it died. Held one under some water to kill it. You know, he wanted to hurt.
At the Epstein files, it continues. It's even worse. I just spent hours listening to another testimony. And when the testimony came out just in the last few days, that's when they pump up the Minnesota. Pump up the Minnesota, beat a few more people up, kill a few more people. Get everybody to look over there. Don't look. And again, I'm not talking about just trafficking. I'm talking about outrageous snuff films. murdering young, I would say children, youth. They're supposed to be graveyards filled with missing kids, and no one knew who they were. I know I sound like a crazy person, I know, but it's not. There is a testimony, Sasha Riley. I ask people to go and investigate and listen to it yourself. There are some issues.